Hey, the movie's starting. Shut up.
Save my seat, Peg.
Good day and good night. Welcome back to the High and Low Retrospective, the spot where we rewind the reels and rewatch the moments that changed TV, shaped culture, and sometimes mocked it into oblivion. Today we're cracking open a time capsule from the late 1980s when television families were supposed to be aspirational, wholesome, and neatly resolved by the end of each episode, a time when the American dream still had a white picket fence around it, at least on TV. And then came a family that didn't just forget to mow the lawn, they lit the whole yard on fire. Let's talk about Married with Children, the sitcom that spit in the face of TV norms, flipped the nuclear family upside down, and gave birth to America's first true anti-sitcom. In 1987, network television was drowning in feel-good family values. Got The Cosby Show, Growing Pains, Family Ties. They all sold variations of the same dream. Loving families, teachable moments, hugs at the end. Even when problems emerged, they were temporary, tidy, and tastefully resolved. Enter Fox.
His moves made him a legend, but this superstar's latest move is his greatest ever. Let's disco.
The new kid on the broadcast block, the network was desperate to stand out and willing to be brash, bold, and borderline reckless. So they greenlit a show that was the polar opposite of everything else on the dial. A show about a bitter shoe salesman, his lazy wife, and their two deeply dysfunctional kids. There were no hugs, no heartfelt monologues, no life lessons, just insults, cynicism, and a laugh track that often sounded more like a collective gasp.
Excuse me, aren't you Brandy Brandt, Miss October 1987?
Why, yes.
Premiering on April 5th, 1987, Married with Children introduced America to the Bundys, television's first proudly broken family. Al Bundy, played with perfect deadpan by Ed O'Neill, was a former high school football star turned miserable shoe salesman. His wife Peggy, played by the brilliant Katie Seagal, refused to cook, clean, or work, but never missed a chance to spend Al's money. Their daughter Kelly, played by Christina Applegate, was the beautiful, blissfully airheaded teen, while their son Bud, played by David Faustino, was a scheming, sex-obsessed underachiever. And that was the point. The Bundys weren't meant to be relatable. They were a funhouse mirror held up to the American dream, showing us what it looked like when the lights went out and the mortgage was past due. The show didn't aspire to anything. It sabotaged aspiration. It found comedy in failure, and it made millions laugh at a family that barely liked each other. Married with Children was created by Ron Leavitt and Michael G. Moy, two former writers for the Jeffersons and Different Strokes who wanted to blow up the feel-good formula. They pitched the Bundys as a direct counter to the Cosbys. If Cliff Huxtable was America's dream dad, Al Bundy was the grumbling, broken-down punchline. Fox ran with it, literally. It was the first primetime show to air on the fledgling network and the cornerstone of its brand. The set was intentionally grim, the jokes were intentionally cruel, and the characters were intentionally one-dimensional. Until they weren't. Because over time, something weird happened. The Bundys became iconic. Al Bundy's endless complaints about women, work, and his own family became part of the pop culture bloodstream. Let's rock, no ma'am, and the infamous hand in pants posture became shorthand for disillusioned American manhood. And while the show leaned hard into the absurd, it often felt just real enough to sting. Critics hated it, advertisers got nervous, parent groups protested, and the audience, they ate it up. The show never cracked the top of the Nielsen charts, but it didn't need to. It became a cult phenomenon, especially among young men, working class viewers, and anyone tired of TV's moralizing tone. It was brash, it was sexist, it was rude, and it was unlike anything else on television. One early episode was so controversial it involved a storyline about purchasing a bra that it triggered a nationwide letter-writing campaign to get the show canceled. Instead, the backlash gave it a surge in ratings. The more outrageous the show got, the more loyal the audience became. Here's where the legacy gets thorny, because Married with Children wasn't just edgy, it was mean. The jokes often punched down, especially at women, and reveled in stereotypes. Peggy was a cartoon of laziness, Kelly was a walking blonde joke, Al built a men's club to complain about how women had ruined everything.
This meeting of no man. National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood.
But it was all wrapped in irony. The show knew it was offensive. That was the point. It wasn't accidentally misogynistic. It was performatively misogynistic, daring viewers to either laugh along or look away. And for years, that was the defense. It's satire, fans and producers said. It's a parody of bigotry, not an endorsement, but satire's a slippery slope, especially when people stop laughing at the character and start laughing with him. And in hindsight, Married with Children may have laid the groundwork for a darker media landscape, where cruelty is comedy, and the line between parody and permission is blurred beyond recognition. The show lasted 11 seasons. That's longer than Seinfeld, longer than Friends, longer than The Office. It survived the network change, cast aging, and a cultural shift toward more politically correct humor. And when it finally ended in 1997, unceremoniously without a proper finale, it left behind a complicated legacy. On one hand, it democratized TV comedy. It gave voice to the working class, to dysfunction, to the people who didn't live in sitcom-ready homes. On the other, it also mainstreamed bitterness. It made mockery a brand. It carved out space for characters who never grew, never learned, and never apologized. In an era of family values, Married with Children made viewers laugh at a family they were glad they didn't belong to. But now looking back, it feels like more than a punchline. It feels like a prelude, a sign of things to come. Because Married with Children didn't just parody dysfunction, it normalized it. It foreshadowed a wave of television that would embrace the anti-hero, the cynic, the morally bankrupt lead we couldn't stop watching, from The Sopranos to Breaking Bad, Curb Your Enthusiasm to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The Bundys were the prototype, messy, selfish, and uninterested in redemption. What began as a counter-programming stunt became a blueprint. The message was clear. Audiences didn't need to like their protagonists anymore. They just had to be entertained. And that shift changed TV forever. So that's the High and Low Retrospective on Married with Children, a series that tore up the rule book, lit it on fire, and danced on its ashes. A sitcom that showed us what happens when the dream dies and made us laugh about it. It was smart, stupid, revolutionary, and regressive. It was satire and slapstick. It was funny as hell and also kind of terrifying. And maybe that's the point. Maybe Married with Children wasn't just mocking the American dream. It was warning us what happens when the dream is built on denial. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Click the bell so you don't miss more deep dives into the shows, movies, and moments that made us, and the ones that made us laugh just a little too hard at our own reflection. Until next time, stay critical, stay nostalgic, and remember,
Once my kids leave the house, I'll finally be able to do what every man is supposed to do. I can watch TV.